What's going on, everybody? It is David Palmer, Leo King, and this is my show, Uncut Astrology, my weekly astrological forecast where I take off the mask and we go deep into the week of September. This is going to be the 15th, 16th, all the way until the 20th of next week. Basically, I do this from Tuesday to Wednesday to Tuesday to Wednesday, and wow, we are finally here. We're in between eclipses. First of all, remember, this is fate train time. Whoop, whoop. And I always say fate train because when you're in between eclipses, we're in the most sensitive spot to be on Earth, literally. We are literally at the perfect position to where when the sun and the moon make an opposition or they meet up, we actually can physically see it from Earth in such a dramatic fashion. And so we're at big changing chapters in our life because in between eclipses this week, Saturn leaves Scorpio and it will step into Sagittarius. So this is a big deal because Saturn is officially out of Scorpio this week. It's going to happen on Thursday, the 17th, and we are not going to see Saturn for 28 more years in Scorpio. Always got Saturn around, and you know, Saturn in Scorpio did a lot. Check out my blog on my website or on my Facebook where I talk about the deep things that Scorpio was all about. I don't want to spend a whole hour going into it, but you know, the depth in your life, death and rebirth, the scary things, the fears. Very, very intense there at the end that we saw through last week with the eclipse of the solar eclipse. And now here we are having Mercury as well retrograding the day that Saturn comes into Sagittarius. So even though we're moving chapters and we're in between eclipses, there's a lot to ponder this week. Mercury is retrograding in the sign of Libra, an intellectual air sign, but more importantly, a cardinal sign. We want to initiate. We want to do all these things. We got new relationships to look at in our life. We just finished a Venus retrograde, remember, weeks ago. And we're at this place where we're ready to build, we're ready to go, we're ready to step into our new lives. We're ready to get busy. This is still the sun in Virgo through this whole week. We've just had a solar eclipse in Virgo. We got the north and the south node ready to switch into Virgo and Pisces. When it comes to getting busy and getting our life on track and getting things together, we want it more than ever. But guess what? A Mercury retrograde in the middle of the changing of the chapters, in the middle of everything that's happening. It's not quite that time, is it? And you know, Mars is interesting because here's Mars finishing up in Leo. It's in the last decan of Leo and it wants to get what it wants. But it's about to meet up with a square to Saturn. So if you just look at the astrology of this Mercury retrograde for the next 3 weeks, we have a Mars square Saturn coming up. We have Jupiter and Neptune, which are opposing right now in the heavens this week. All that is translating to is, let's move into this new chapter with our eyes wide open and not making any major life-altering decisions just quite yet. Let's turn the page and start to write it very slowly. And maybe we don't need to just start writing things on paper in our life. We can actually start to ponder. What is Sagittarius? It is the sign of pondering. It is the sign of looking bigger. It is the sign of doing your research. What better way for Saturn to enter into Sagittarius officially for the next 2 years than to do some research in your life? Read a book. Talk with other people. Mercury in retrograde in Libra is about talking to people, hearing what other people have to say, weighing out both the sides. So this is a very powerful time in our life because this week, even though we feel ready, we know we're at the change point. Yes, we're in between eclipses. It's time to ponder. It's time to look bigger. It's time to see what's bigger out there on the horizon. And Jupiter opposed Neptune, right? Jupiter in Virgo, Neptune in Pisces. We have all these things, all these doors we want to open up in all these specific areas, these ways to change our life, to get back into reality. But Neptune's telling us to chill out. We don't need to open up all these little doors. We don't need to clean the room. We don't need to get into reality just yet. Yes, I know it could feel like you've been, lost for 3 years. So we want to find out exactly what to do and how to get our life back on track right away. But the universe is saying, that's not all just fun and games. I mean, do you really want to be bipolar and jump from one end to the other just that fast? learn to chill out. Learn to go with the flow with this process. The main message of this week is, yes, there's big things changing. Yes, you're about to step into a new life, but you need to learn to still go with the flow and trust that the delays and the things that are going to frustrate the crap out of you through this retrograde and through this process and through these eclipses is about learning to surrender to God and go with the flow and trust that you are moving into this new chapter the way it's supposed to. That you do not need to score the final touchdown at the last quarter, at the last down. It's not fourth down anymore. It's first down and 10. I'm using football analogies, but you know what? And it's a brand new game. And it's why do you need to, you do not need to win the game right now at the minute that we start this new chapter, even though we feel like we need to. Virgo feels like we need to fix it, we need to get it ready. Mars in Leo is competitive, but it's getting ready to square Saturn. And so it's already within my orb. I give Saturn a 10-degree orb, and Mars and Saturn are squaring. And it's saying stop. Don't rush. Mercury retrograde. Rethink things for the next 3 weeks, especially in Libra. There's a lot to weigh out, you know. It's like, I gotta think about all these things. Jupiter and Neptune. Before you open up all the doors, make sure you're going with the flow and listen to maybe what's on the other side of things. Maybe, you know, by taking your time and by not maybe caring so much, maybe you might be over caring about something that it has to be a certain way, when really you need to see that there's something beautiful on the other side. Venus and Uranus are going to make a trine as well, which is saying through this whole process that there's candy coming our way, there's great relationships, there's great beautiful things being created even through this retrograde and through this eclipse process. But we don't have to rush it all right away. We don't need to figure it all out right away. And of course my phone's ringing. And so it's important that, well, first of all, there it is. How funny is this? That the universe gives us this exact... That's so funny. All I can say is, whenever something like this happens, there's a sign. And what happened, what was I talking about right when this phone call came in? I was saying... And I don't even know, because it just totally tripped me up. I hate distractions. But we need to listen to things. We don't need to go answer the phone right away and stop what we're doing. You know, let's pay attention. Sagittarius is all about opening up the doors. Saturn in Sagittarius is about taking our time and not exploring everything without making sure we have some sort of plan. Because then you could become out there on the trail with a long beard and end up like, you know, Tom Hanks in when he gets lost, you know, and he's got a beard and he's just, you know, you're just floating out in sea and you're all over the place. And I mean, that's very Neptune-ish, but Sag can do the same thing. Sages can get lost on journeys. That's why their fourth house is Neptune-based, because then they don't have a home. There's a part of us that spiritually needs to really take our time, because there's way too much to ponder this week. And congratulate yourself for getting through Saturn and Scorpio, because it was about illumination. Illuminating parts of your life, learning to overcome fear, and learning that you can make it through anything. And that alone should be enough to make you happy and excited about life. Not the new carrots that are being dangled this week that feel like you need to have them right away. And you'll get some of them. But the main thing, the big deal, the big thing that you need in your life, that's going to take some time, and it's because it's developing it better. You could have it better. And Venus in Leo, still in a shadow period, is realizing that it needs to create the greatest love and the greatest light by taking its time and by being better. So everything right now is turning. We're still in between eclipses. The next eclipse is September 27th, and we're not there yet. We do have a 3/4 square of the a first quarter square of the moon this weekend in Sagittarius in the middle of eclipses, which is squaring the Virgo, which is saying there's more to review before we figure it all out. And so let all this stuff just happen. Just let it all happen and take your time to review more and to do more research in your life, because we are opening up a whole new chapter. We are running into a whole new game, and you do not need to have your ego at its last chance. This is the last degree of Aries, or actually the first degree of Aries, as the South Node is at 0 degrees at Aries this week, where our ego will try and run for what it wants right away, when we need to learn the first degree of Libra, which is patience, which is weighing out, and which is true justice in knowing a right partnership. There's going to be a lot of partnership things that come up, and all of it is about making sure that you don't let your ego run rampant this week and just do whatever you want when you want to. Because the truth is this new chapter is coming in to teach us beauty and prosperity through research and through taking our time to build better partnerships and better deals and better things in our life that come up. So anyways, I hope that helps. You can join me and support me by getting my daily videos just like this. Actually, they're even much more specific on my applications on Apple and Android, or my website, leoking.lookstack.com. Thanks so much for all the support, everybody. I do have a Saturn in Sagittarius video coming out next week that you might want to purchase, or if you want to get a reading with me, because I'm about to end readings for a while. Believe it or not, I'm going to take the fall and the winter off and focus more on the videos, but I will be doing readings through this next 3-week period. So if you want to book a reading with me, book a reading on my website, leoking.com or inclusiveastrology.com. Thanks so much for all the support, everybody. I appreciate you, and I love you. I am sending you great energy, and I will see you on the next Uncut.